So as you guys know, Cyberpunk 2077, huge turnaround. They did the big like 2.0 update, blowing everybody away. Thank you, Les Pigman, for the sub over on Twitch. Appreciate you. And they've blown everybody away. It's impressed everybody. After the release of Phantom Liberty, though, a lot of people kind of accepted that this was the end of Cyberpunk 2077's updates. This is like where the story kind of ends, and we're ready for The Witcher 4 or whatever comes next, you know, like ready for that to happen. Well, they did something else too. They have now updated it with 2.1, or they're about to, which adds like the Metro system, which is something that they teased in like the very first trailer of it, more motorcycles and improved motorcycles and tons of stuff. So previously I had to download mods to be able to use the Metro system, and the mods were really good, and you know, they got the job done, and it was nice for sake of immersion, but it wasn't anything that crazy. But now it's coming through official support. So what they say is, after teasing some hot new additions to Cyberpunk 2077, developer CD Projekt Red has outlined several of the new features coming to the game and update 2.1. One of the biggest features is the inclusion of a metro system, something that featured prominently in the trailers for the original game and its Phantom Liberty expansion. You'll be able to catch a ride on the Night City transit system and fast travel to one of 19 metro stations, which, to be clear, were already in the game. You just couldn't go into them. Or if you want to soak up the neon signs of Metropolis, you can sit down and enjoy the ride. Also something you could do in the mod. Seems like they took inspiration from it, which is super cool. You'll be able to access the metro system after you complete the Konpeki Plaza sequence, the big heist mission in the game, which makes sense. Cyberpunk 2077 quest director Pavel Sasko added that this travel system is designed to be a new and immersive role-playing feature in the game for fans to enjoy. Kind of like taking the coaches in Red Dead 2, instead of just like warping for fast travel, you actually ride for fast travel. I prefer this more, frankly. Boss fight changes were also being introduced with Cyberpunk 2077 2.1, with the series Big Bad Adam Smasher getting a substantial rework. I'm not entirely sure what that means. The final showdown with this antagonist was seen as underwhelming in Cyberpunk 2077, but the update 2.1 is going to turn him into a cybernetic force to be reckoned with, who lives up to the legend established in the tabletop source material and the Edge Runners anime series. Interesting. I did feel like the final boss fight in Cyberpunk was a little, like, if you had a sniper rifle, if you had some high damage stuff to throw out, he wasn't that difficult. And especially with grenades, it broke it. Like, you just chuck 15 grenades and it didn't really affect much of anything. And then there's like some more waves of enemies that come in, but he was pretty easy. So that's cool to see that they're reworking it. Other small changes coming next week include a new way to hang out with your favorite partners, replayable car races, and revamped accessibility options. Update 2.1 will arrive on December 5th alongside the Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition. I mean, they really are adding a new meaning to the Ultimate Edition. Like, normally Ultimate Edition just means like, it's the same game, but now it's full price again. That's usually all it really means. But they are actually like, yeah, I mean, compared to the launch version, totally different. Yeah, GameSpot also did a Phantom Liberty documentary, which is pretty crazy. It's been a mixed year for CDPR, as the studio reported 4.3 million Phantom Liberty sales since its release on September 26th. But the company also saw a 10% reduction of workforce back in July. I do want to be clear with this. This is something... So CDPR has laid off 100 people, citing a need to undergo several deep transformations as it reduces its workforce by 9%. These layoffs happen over several months, with some employees departing the company by March 2024. What they say, after reshaping our development process and incorporating agile methodologies, we're now focusing on refining the shape of our team to meet our own high expectations and ambitions to create the best role-playing games. We not only want to have the best people, but also the right teams. What we mean by that is having teams that are built around projects' needs, teams that are more agile and more effective. At this point in time, we're certain that for CDPR to grow, we need to be consistent in implementing that approach. According to Kaczynski, CDPR is overstaffed, and those staff members affected by the layoffs will receive comprehensive severance packages. We want team members to have ample time to process and adjust to the change, and we also made sure to offer everyone a comprehensive severance package. The latest round of layoffs comes shortly after the announcement that Gwent's remaining team members had been let go of the company after production ended on that game, while the Witcher game project Sirius saw more than 25 people laid off after a new framework was implemented. I think the new framework, that has to mean Unreal Engine 5 being used, right? Because there's similar timelines and everything. I would bet that they are probably laying off engineers and stuff that specifically worked on the Red Engine. But I don't know for a fact, but that's what that sounds like to me. But with all this, like, it's one of my pet peeves is when people see this stuff and they immediately go to, this is ridiculous, it's corporate greed, it's blah, blah, blah. And sometimes it certainly is. It's just like the CEO says, oh, well, the board of directors offered me a bonus if I can cut these budgets by 10%. So I'm just going to lay off people and then get my bonus. Sometimes it is like that, without a doubt. Other times, though, it is frankly the case that there are too many people working. There's too many cooks in the kitchen, and the teams are bloated, and they need to refine it. And there is such a thing as overstaffing, especially at these big companies, and especially after periods like COVID, when interest rates were rock bottom, which basically just means like interest rates were effectively zero because inflation was higher than the rates. So interest rates on loans and corporate funding were non-existent. And so they could take out tons of money to hire new people, to build new offices and expand. And money was so cheap, you'd be stupid not to. So they took out that money, and now rates have gone up, and they're realizing, well, now that money isn't free because it's being bankrolled by like the Fed of all these various countries, they're realizing they can't actually afford all these employees. So they're walking all of it back, laying off all these employees. And this is happening not just in the gaming sector, but in every major industry. I mean, it's every company has been affected by this. And it's part of the purpose of raising interest rates is to deal with inflation and slow these companies down, lay people off so they stop spending money and cool down the economy. Like, this is basic economics. But that's why it's all the more strange that people are acting so shocked when they see that companies are laying people off. And in the case of Cyberpunk and CDPR, clearly something was wrong. Like, they had built up a very sizable development force, but with Cyberpunk 2077, something didn't work. Like there was some gap in communication or this or that, who knows, but something was broken. And it seems like they've taken a lot of steps to try and figure out what that is. And part of that is adjusting teams and letting people go. And it's unfortunate for those, but they're being given severance packages, and they're being given ample time to find new work. And that's how a company should handle this type of difficult thing. They handled it about as well as they possibly could have. He took my